For our daily cancellation today, we have a classic reverse cancellation where we cancel the cancelers, and it begins with a sushi restaurant. Now, if you're chronically online, then you probably already know where this is going. I don't know what that says about you or me or the world, but when I say we're doing a cancellation related to a sushi restaurant, many of you have already filled in many of the details in your head before hearing any of the details. So for those whose souls have not become so jaded, here's what happened. As the Daily Caller reports, quote, an Australian-born restaurant owner who set up shop in New York City is experiencing a flurry of negative online reviews for being white and owning a sushi restaurant. When Sushi Counter opened its doors, it was committed to serving affordable Australian-style hand-rolled maki in the Big Apple, where prices are typically sky-high, the Publico reported. Recently, however, the restaurant has been subjected to negative reviews by online users who were put off by the fact that the owner, Alex, is white. One vocal chef, Eric Rivera, took to Twitter in a now deleted thread to shun Sushi Counter for being owned by a colonizer white woman, suggesting that she has no place serving the widely popular Japanese favorite, according to the Publica. This is not the first time that Rivera has dubbed others tied to the culinary industry as colonizers, according to his Twitter post. Sushi Counter had previously received positive reviews by NYC sushi fans, according to the outlet. The owner reportedly deleted a TikTok page that she made documenting her journey of opening the business. The backlash also came with a flurry of negative Google reviews. Now, to be clear, these are negative Google reviews panning the restaurant based on the race of the owner. And this is the kind of thing that can only possibly go one way in our culture, of course. Here are a few of those reviews. Quote, there are plenty of good, authentic sushi spots in this city, and prices aren't crazy. I suggest going to one of those. This is a colonizer sushi spot ran by a woman who thinks that she can do better than actual Japanese people. Another reviewer wrote, enough of the gentrification. The last thing anyone needs are blonde-hair Australian white women appropriating Japanese cuisine. We're sick of the disrespect inflicted upon our cultures by white people. Enough is enough. Now, of course, the backlash against the white-owned sushi restaurant went beyond Google. On Twitter, a woman named Deirdre Goldborn, who is a financial advisor and a self-described, quote, cultural historian, and goes by the handle Queer Latifah, posted this. Why is someone who is not of Asian descent, better yet from Australia, opening a sushi spot in NYC? She continues, the contradiction and cognitive dissonance is maddening. She feels she can't afford decent sushi in NYC, a place that has one of the largest and vastly diverse Asian populations. So instead, she finances her own sushi spot. Colonization is white and quite scary to see in real time. Now, that tweet has thousands of likes and supportive comments, by the way. A tweet that describes a sushi restaurant as both maddening and scary. Now, as a sane person myself, I can't fathom how anyone could conjure those kinds of emotions in relation to a sushi restaurant. And I suppose we could assume that the emotions are fake and that it's all performance, and that could well be the case. But we also can't discount the possibility that some of these people are indeed as unstable and irrational as they present themselves to be. Now, there are a number of obvious points that we could make here, and we'll make them because, stating the obvious is what the show is all about. And the first and most obvious thing is that this deranged standard is only ever applied to white people and would never and has never gone the other way, right? Like you'll never hear of a pizza place being bombarded with negative reviews because it's owned by an Asian guy, or a burger joint being protested because it's run by a Hispanic woman. You'll certainly never hear anyone telling a black chef what sorts of cuisine he isn't allowed to cook based on his race. Indeed, if we really wanted to play this game equally, then we would say that not only can a white person open a sushi restaurant in the United States, but in fact, arguably, only white people should open sushi restaurants or any other kind of restaurant in the United States. If we apply the racial logic of wokeism consistently across the board, that's where it leads. This is a predominantly white, historically white country, and therefore all of our restaurants should be operated by white people. Except we don't say that because it would be insane, just as it's insane going the other direction. Second, once again, the woke crowd is insulting the people that they're supposedly standing up for. Notice how Queer Latifah says that sushi should be handled by the city's diverse Asian population, which first of all seems to suggest that it's the job of Asian people to provide her with delicious sushi, and which also directly implies that all Asians are the same. Like, sushi is a Japanese dish historically. She says it's an Asian dish. But why would someone from, say, Mongolia, which is an Asian country, automatically be better suited to make sushi than someone from Australia? Like, how does that logic work? How is this any different from like walking into a room of strangers and searching for the most Asian-looking person you can find and then walking up to them and asking them for a good recommendation to a sushi restaurant, or maybe asking them for karate lessons? This is stereotyping, and it's lumping people of various ethnicities together just because they live on the same continent. And the left does this kind of thing all the time. Note how they constantly refer to indigenous or Native American culture as if the disparate array of tribes spread out across the hemisphere all shared one culture, or shared anything at all, for that matter. People always say, happy dog, happy life. Well, if that's really the case, you need to be giving your dog Rough Greens. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black, the founder of Rough Greens, is focused on improving the health of every dog in America. Before I started feeding my dog Rough Greens, I had no idea that dog food is dead food. It contains very little nutritional value. Think about it, nutrition isn't brown, it's green. Let Rough Greens bring your dog's food back to life. Rough Greens is a supplement that contains all the necessary vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega oils, digestive enzymes, and antioxidants that your dog needs. You don't have to go out and buy new dog food. You just sprinkle Rough Greens on their food every day. Dog owners everywhere are raving about Rough Greens. It supports healthy joints, improves bad breath, boosts energy levels, and so much more. We are what we eat, and that goes for dogs too. Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black is so confident Rough Greens will improve your dog's health. He's offering my listeners a free Jumpstart trial bag so your dog can try it. Get a free Jumpstart trial bag delivered straight to your door in just a few business days. Go to roughgreens.com/Matt or call 844-ROUGH-700. That's RUFF, greens.com/Matt or call 844-ROUGH-700 today. Finally, we have of course, the inherent madness behind the idea of cultural appropriation. And you would think that the people who love to see everything as fluid and on a spectrum and as a human construct would understand that culture is, by definition, the most fluid human construct of all. Culture is simply the customs, traditions, arts, and institutions of any group of people. And those customs, traditions, arts, and institutions, and their cuisine as well, are always evolving. They're always in constant exchange with other cultures. And especially in this day and age, that process is in hyperdrive because we're even more connected than we've ever been before. This is why, even if it made sense to accuse one culture of stealing something from another culture, which it doesn't, because theft deprives the victim of the thing being stolen, but nobody is being prevented from eating sushi or making sushi just because one white woman opened up a sushi shop. But still, we couldn't identify who is actually guilty of stealing from who. Humans have been making culture in some form or another for tens of thousands of years. For most trends and fashions and foods, it's not possible to identify a definitive date or place of origin. Even if you could, what influenced the person who came up with it? And what influenced the influences of that person, and so on? In fact, as I was preparing this monologue, I found myself falling down a Wikipedia rabbit hole about the origins of sushi because I was just kind of curious. And it turns out that sushi probably originates from the practice of fermenting fish and storing it in rice. And that practice does not originate in Japan. It originates in Southeast Asian cultures thousands of years ago, most likely. But nobody knows for sure the exact place of origin. And if it does originate there, like how was that practice picked up? What was it based on? And where did the thing that it was based on originate? In fact, where did the practice of eating fish come from originally? Who was the first person who ever thought, like, we should go into this body of water and try to find a creature in there and eat it? What was the first time that ever happened? What part of the world? How many millennia do we have to go back to find the origins of that? And what part of the world did that person live in? Well, it's impossible to say, obviously. Which means it's impossible to really enforce the cultural appropriation rule to begin with. Even if the rule was worth enforcing, which of course it certainly isn't, you wouldn't be able to. And this is wokeness for you. Morally atrocious standards that are also totally incoherent and impossible to abide by consistently. That's what it's all about. And that is ultimately why all of the people canceling this sushi restaurant are today themselves canceled. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.